Recently, I began partnering with an organization called ChristianMinistryEDU.org. They're essentially a one-stop shop for all the information you'd want to know about Christian ministry degrees, theology degrees, etc. And this partnership had me thinking about my own experience of getting a theology degree. You see, well, maybe I can just show you. Over the past few years, I spent a couple $1,000s and 3 years of my life getting this. A degree from Moody Bible Institute in theology. And now my job has nothing to do with it. So was it worth it? That's what we're going to explore today. Well, hey guys, what is up? Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Austin, and this is Gospel Simplicity, a place where we seek to bring simplicity out of theological and historical complexity. Today we're changing gears a little bit, and we're talking about getting a degree in theology. Is it worth it? Now, I know that if you come to a channel like this, chances are you're what I would lovingly call and associate myself with, I would raise my hand to this, a theology nerd. And I fully and 100% support that. It's something that I love about this channel. And so maybe you've considered at some point or another whether or not you should get a degree in theology. After all, I think a lot of our education system has been set up in such a way that we ask people, what are you passionate about? And then we tell them to go get degrees in those things, whether that's the best path for them or not. Now, my personal path to getting a theology degree was a bit non-traditional in some ways. You see, coming out of high school, I actually really wanted to go into medicine. I had been accepted into a really fantastic accelerated program, had my deposits in, I was ready to go. But at that time, I had been interning at my church, and much to my surprise, they offered me a full-time job. I didn't know what to do, but I took some time to think about it. Eventually, I decided to say yes, try it as a gap year. Fell in love with ministry, but then they made the mistake of letting me teach, really fell in love with that, wanted to know more about theology so I could communicate it better, and decided, hey guys, thanks for the job, this has been a great past year or two, but now I need to go somewhere where I can figure out some of the stuff that I realize I don't know, because teaching when you don't know that much is terrifying, and I wanted to learn, which is how I ended up at the Moody Bible Institute in downtown Chicago. It's an interdenominational school Bible college, one of the few Bible colleges left, really. There's not all that many. There was a big boom of them. Back in the day, Moody was founded in the mid-19th century, and around that time, a lot of others sprung up, like Biola and others. But today, only a few of them are left. In any case, I went to Moody and got a degree in theology. I went in thinking I was going to be the next mega church pastor, and somewhere along the lines I became just entrenched in church history, fell in love with it, began this wild exploration that has sprouted into the way the channel currently exists, getting to explore the beauty and messiness of church history with some of the best scholars on the planet. And now I find myself where I am today, which is as a young married person that needed to pay the bills, and YouTube doesn't quite do that. And believe it or not, theology degrees don't quite do that. And so I actually work in, of all things, B2B tech public relations. Yeah, not a whole lot to do with theology. So how do I look back on that experience? Were the past 3 years a mistake? Was that a lot of money and time wasted when I could have gotten a degree in medicine or software engineering, something that would make me more money if I wasn't going to be in ministry vocationally by way of getting paid anyway? Maybe. Let's explore that. You see, if you're considering getting a theology degree, the first question I would ask you seriously is, can you afford it? Because I loved my time at Moody, and I would do it again in a heartbeat because it was something that I simply enjoyed. I got to spend 3 years studying the thing that lights my soul and brain up more than anything else ever could. But if you're going to have to go into mountains of debt for this, I might tell you to just read the books on your own time. Message me. I'll give you all the books that I read in my undergraduate career, and you can read them. And that will teach you a lot. Will it teach you the same things? I don't actually think so. I think there's something really valuable to being in a college setting. But I think we all have to be honest and have this conversation. I don't think is had enough in the US, whether it's just this like college first mentality of like, can you actually afford this? Can you afford to get a degree that might not lead to a job for you? Is that okay? If you can, you love it, you have the flexibility in your life like I had as a young 20-something, not married, low expenses, cheap school, like by all means, do it. But that would be the first question I would honestly ask yourself. And one way that a lot of people are finding flexible ways of doing this is they're exploring new kind of hybrid ways of going, partially online, partially in person. They're doing it fully online. I am partial to doing it in person, but there are a myriad of options, and you can go from anywhere from like being on campus every day and fully entrenched in the culture, which I think is amazing, or you can go all the way on the other spectrum of not going at all, but reading all the books, or somewhere in between, doing it online, doing it hybrid. You've got options. The second question I would ask is, are you okay with doing this, knowing that you might not get a job related to it? Now, maybe you want to be a pastor, in which case, should you get a theology degree? I think, yeah, you probably should for your undergrad, though you could do other things that could be helpful as well. But if your idea is you're going to get a theology degree and then you're going to go teach, I don't want to rain on your parade, but I do want to say that is going to be incredibly difficult. If you want to teach, you're certainly going to have to not just get a PhD, but you're going to have to get it from a top research university if you want any shot at getting a tenure track position. Not impossible, but it is difficult. In fact, that was in many ways my plan. That is what I wanted to do. But having had conversations with Eliza about the kind of life we want to live, being close to family, and both of our families are nearby, we've really prioritized that. And if you get a professor job, which is a shot in the dark, you really have to go anywhere where it is, or teach online, which isn't something that interested me that much, which is how I've begun pivoting. But this isn't necessarily all about my future plans. I just talked about that actually to my patrons, which if you're a patron, you can go check out, or you can become a patron. Check it out. Subtle plug, over. But my question would be for you, are you okay with just doing this for the love of doing it? Because thinking that you're going to get a job writing theology, teaching theology, it's possible, but I would not get this degree if that is the only thing that you think it's going to lead to. I look back on my classmates, some of whom are absolutely brilliant, and many of them will do grad school. Many of them are taking odd jobs. Some of them find themselves in a position like myself. In fact, it was just today that I was scrolling on LinkedIn. I know, I'm boring. That's like the state of my life right now. I was on LinkedIn. But I was on LinkedIn and someone, a graduate of Princeton Theological Seminary, put up this post saying, 10 years ago when I graduated from seminary, I never would have thought I'd be where I am today. Today he does sales for like an AI company and he loves it. And what he described is that he does sales for AI. He reads biblical commentaries on his weekends for fun, and he teaches at his church, and he is fully engaged in ministry while having a job in the marketplace. Does he regret his degree? Not at all. And what fascinated me as you scrolled through the comments, there were dozens of people that echoed this experience. They loved the fact that they got a degree in theology or in biblical studies, or that they went to seminary and got an MDiv. But today they find themselves doing things that are completely different. If you're okay with that, I think getting a degree in theology is amazing because you will get to learn things and deepen your faith in a way that is difficult to do outside of such a focused setting. Of course, there's other ways to deepen your faith. Of course, there's other ways to learn. But entrenching yourself in the study of theology is something almost magical. It is a time in my life that I will forever cherish, and I think you will too. But I don't want you to go into it with the wrong expectation. Are you willing to echo the sentiments of all those people on LinkedIn who said, I loved seminary, I still read commentaries, I teach at my church, and during the week, I work in sales, I work in marketing, I work in publishing, I work in this, I work in that, all of these things that they never would have seen themselves doing, but they're able to do now, and it allows them to then go teach in their church, provide for their families, and eat. So that would be my second question. My third question would be, are you willing to let it shape you? I know that might seem a bit strange. Is it worth it? Well, maybe. But I see a lot of people go into getting a theology degree or biblical studies thinking they already know it all, or they just want to be equipped to have the best arguments and to stay in the exact position they have today, but just be armed to be like the guy that's going to knock down all the bad arguments against their Calvinism or their Catholicism or their Orthodoxy or their whatever kind of branch they come from, and they just want someone to validate their opinions they already have. I don't think a theology degree is great in that situation. I'm not saying you have to change your tradition by any means. I think in many ways it should deepen your commitment to the tradition, but it will change you. It will shape you. It will expose you to different ways of thinking, and it also should form you as a Christian. See, if theology for you is just about gaining more Bible facts or being able to quote the church fathers better than the other guy in the YouTube comment section so you can make them look dumb, it's really not the thing for you. I don't think it's ultimately going to be helpful, and I think it might ultimately be a waste. I think you could spend your time doing better things. But if you're willing to let a theology degree shape not just how you think, but how you relate to God, if it leads you to greater prayer, if you allow it to change the way that you show up in your devotional life, if you allow theology itself to be an act of worship, something where when you study the Trinity, you sit in awe and allow the beauty of God to shape you and to want to live into the life that He's calling you to. If you're willing and open to go into your theology degree, allowing it to shape how you think and how you live and how you relate to God, I can't think of a better thing you could do with your time. So here I am today. I work by day in public relations, talking about big data and AI and the next tech trends and selling random companies to other random companies. And I actually really enjoy it. And by night, well, I find myself doing this, getting to talk about theology, getting to lean on the education I had that will forever shape who I am and set me on a trajectory to never stop reading, to never stop learning, to never stop digging deeper. And it was worth it for me. I can't answer whether it'll be worth it for you, but hopefully these questions are helpful for you to ask. And a big thank you to christianministryedu.org for sponsoring this video. If you're interested in learning more about getting a theology degree, Christian ministry degree, or just what Christian degrees are out there, I really encourage you to check them out. Till next time, guys, be on the lookout for more videos. And as always, go out and love God and love others, because truly, above all else, that will change the world.